What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Gambling Lab segment brought to you by Bogey Proof. We got a little Tour Championship recap coming for you, and I think we're getting into a little bit of Ryder Cup and Captain's Pick and that fun talk as well. Without further ado, Patrick Cantlay getting it done. He started with a two-shot lead over Finau, I believe, and then four shots over Rahm. It very quickly became a Patrick Cantlay versus John Rahm event. Really, they had a good 4 or 5 shot cushion, I think, over pretty much everybody else. Once the weekend rolled around, and they put on a pretty good show. East Lake is a really good golf course. It always kind of plays out tough on TV because it's just a lot of really good par fours. So you just see a lot of pars. But real quality golf from Cantlay to really hang on to that lead. And John Rahm gave a hell of a chase. It came down to the last hole. He had a chip to essentially force the playoff. So I don't know. What are you guys' immediate thoughts? I thought it was. Cantlay just really turned it on the last month or so here, and really just left no doubt in the fact that he's one of the better American players out there right now. And John Rahm, it's a consistent story we've been saying for like the last 6 months. I feel like he's just fucking unbelievable. But what are you guys' immediate thoughts?
Yeah, Cantlay is just a robot, man. We talked about it last week where we just didn't know necessarily is Cantlay going to come out and perform or do exactly what he did before, and kind of shut us up. Man, the guy, the bigger the putt, the better he is, and he just, the glimpses that he has of greatness every single time he gets up to the ball. Yeah, he has some of those bad holes that he just. He finds a way to get through it. It makes some tough putts, whether it's from 6 to 10 feet. It could be 30, 35 feet. You never know. Like he's great with the putter, and just from what you've always told me, Fontaine, it's putting wins you championships. Putting wins you the matches, and we saw that. He made some crucial putts, and then he was driving the ball so well. I gotta say, on 18, right? He had his longest drive the entire 72 holes, 361, outdrove Rahm. I just thought, he got the hill right, and it still went, but come on, man, 361. I think he might have a 6 iron in from there. So it was just really professional again by Cantlay. It was awesome to see, and I thought Rahm was gonna be there pulling it out. Like he seemed like he was gonna be there the last couple holes, but man, Cantlay is everything. $22 million this year he won. Heck, he deserved every single penny of that. Congrats to him.
The only downside to that 22 or the 15 that they win, it all goes into a retirement fund and all this stuff. They don't even get the cash right up front. It goes
Is it
into a
really?
whole fund. Yeah, it's a whole. Yeah, it goes into the
So
PGA
you
Tour
can't go out
retirement
to
fund
like
or
the
something like
strip
that.
club or go celebrate with it. Like we just
No,
gotta wait till we fucking turn
no,
65.
that direct deposit. I think it's usually Wednesday, so it'd be tomorrow, right? Yeah, he's not getting 15 mil cash into his checking account.
Just give me the check.
It goes to a retirement fund
Yeah,
or
just give me
something
one of those
for him.
big ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of those big ones.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, like, I don't. I was never worried about Cantlay winning that golf tournament or winning the FedEx Cup until what, the 70th hole when he blew one way right off the tee. It was like it was never a doubt that he was going to win. Now I'm sure the 2 hole or the 2 stroke advantage going into the tournament helps with that. I was like, he never wavered, and Rahm kept trying to get back, but every single time Rahm would make some like whatever Rahm was gonna do, I was just like, I'm not worried. Cantlay's fine. It was never even a doubt for me until the 70th hole of the tournament, like the third to last hole of the PGA Tour season. Is like, okay, maybe Cantlay might lose this.
yeah, yeah. It was
Maybe.
like clinical, methodical, stoic, like whatever the word is, like a robot, right? Like I think Cantlay, and I think it's a little bit comparable to DJ when DJ's playing well. Like you don't know that DJ's 25 under or if he's 5 over, right? Like he doesn't really react a lot, and Cantlay gives me a lot of similar vibes to that. Obviously, very different games and the way they play the game, but like the way they carry themselves, I feel like is very similar. Like Cantlay just like you have he's never wavers, right? And like he played like methodical too. Like he struck it so well. And then when it came down to, like you said, on that 70th hole, he got a little out of place. He had to make like a 6 foot curler for bogey to not just go right back to tied with John Rahm, and then follows it up and birdied, I think, either I don't know if he birdied 17 too, but he definitely birdied 18, like you
Yeah,
said, with that bomb
18's
drive.
practically a par 4.
Yeah, you hit the fairway there. You're making birdie, but
It's par 4.5.
it's just like he just such a good ball striker, and when he needed to make a putt, he made a putt, and I think that's why, as great as Jon Rahm played and as great as he's been the last 6 months, he hasn't won as much as I'm sure he would have liked to, with the given how much better he's been at just all around golf for the last 6 months. He only got one win. I mean, probably two, right? The Memorial, he was up 7, right? He wasn't going to lose that, but um, he just missed. He just didn't make enough of those because he hit it well enough. He had probably. I mean, you can always look back on around a golf and say, "Oh, I could have made that, could have made that." But when it comes to winning, and you're already chasing like he was, given the start of the week, and also just the way Cantlay maintained the lead, like he had to make pretty much everything on one of those nines, whether it was the front or the back nine today, to get back to even with them and kind of reset it and be like, all right, it's a 6-hole tournament now or whatever. He just, every time he had that opportunity, it seemed like he hit good putts. It wasn't like he was like putting like shit. It's just like he didn't make enough of them from 15 to 20 feet to kind of get over the hump and get it back to even, reset it, make it an 8-hole tournament, 5-hole tournament, 12-hole tournament, whatever it was. He was just always one step behind. And I think that's just because he didn't make enough putts, as many as he did make. And he shot, 12, 13 under, whatever it was for the weekly total gross, never mind like their starting points or whatever. It's just that Cantlay, every time he needed to make one to limit damage or needed to make one to, get that lead back to 2 or whatever, there's never a doubt. He just has that put the ball in the hole ability this week that at the end of the day separated him, because I think ball striking wise, him and Jon Rahm are pretty comparable. It's just a couple putts here and there that Cantlay needed to have, and he had them, and Jon Rahm needed to have, and just missed them on the edge or whatever it was. That at the end of the day, when you're as good as these guys are, that's what the margins come down to, and it's just
came down to really hole 16, right? You kind of alluded to that. It really, right there, it was all in the greens, where Cantlay had his bogey putt coming up, and then you had Rahm, who had his birdie putt. He really needed to make that right there, because that puts all the pressure on Cantlay, whether he misses that or not.
Yep.
Let's say he makes it, right. It's a 2-shot swing. You're tied going into 17. That puts so much more pressure on a Cantlay actually making those shots, as opposed to a 1-shot lead, 20 to 19 under. So I think right there is where John had that small window. Just unfortunately, John pushed it, or had a little bit leaked to the right a little bit. It is golf, so he can't. It happens. Yeah, got back to 1, which is better than not getting anything out of it. And good golfers are going to make the best out of the last 2 holes. And Cantlay came back with a birdie, and then professionally played the last hole as great as he did. So great ending, man, though. But he had a window.
Yeah, exactly. Quite the season for Jon Rahm. I think as great as it was, he's going to look back and be like, really wish I won a couple more times than I did, but can't hate playing as good a golf as he did. I mean, he led the PGA Tour in like literally every statistical category this year except for wins, which is kind of hard to believe.
I mean, just going back, and not to get into a whole political thing with this pandemic, but Cantlay won the 2021 Memorial, and that connection right there. If Rahm doesn't test positive for COVID, plays that week, plays 2 more rounds of golf, I think it was the Friday, or was it Saturday that he got?
It was Saturday. So
Saturday?
They got rained out Friday. He went out Saturday morning, finished his round from Friday with like 3 or 4 birdies, and then shot 7 under in his 18 on Saturday to
so it was
rocket dip up the leaderboard and take a 6-shot lead or something like that.
So if he was able to play 1 more round of golf, he would have arguably been the FedEx Cup champ, because going into this week, or going into last week, whatever you want to call it, he probably would have been the FedEx Cup leader in points, would have had the 2-shot lead, and would have therefore beat Cantlay, because Cantlay wouldn't have that 2-shot advantage.
Yeah, because Cantlay would have probably been in second place at that time, seeing everything happen, and then
if everything stays its course the rest of the season. Crazy to think about. One little COVID test caused Jon Rahm losing $15 million, or $5 million, I guess.
At least, because I mean, it also cost him the Olympics, which pretty sure Jon Rahm's gonna win those Olympics.
I don't. Yeah,
it's gonna do pretty well.
Do they pay out a lot for that though?
Huh?
Because I heard the U.S. if you win a gold medal, it's like $40,000.
Oh, not even payout for like FedEx Cup and stuff. Just like now he's a gold medal.
That whole
gold medalist. The ads you get out of that and shit like that. Like all those kind of incentives that you're not gonna get a literal check from.
Well, each country pays their Olympians, whatever. Their gold medal winners different.
That's a joke
what the U.S. pays, but yeah.
But still, I think like good point. Like that one literally flip flopped those two players who ended up coming down to, and it's like John Rahm was not going to lose that golf tournament. That also changes the Player of the Year debate too, because now the Player of the Year debate, like Cantlay's got 4 wins, including the FedEx Cup is one of them. Rahm only has a major, but he led the field or he led the tour in every category the whole like ever this year. Like only 1 win versus 4. Or like even a guy like Morikawa's got 2, Bryson's got 2, including I don't know how the U.S. Open still counts, but like Morikawa's PGA doesn't count. I feel like those were the same year. I guess they weren't, but just feels like they were.
Yeah.
And I mean, Morikawa was in that playoff with Cantlay in the Memorial. That Rahm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
So it's like there's so many things that the ripple effect, right? Of
Yeah.
that one
Yeah.
test. But
That one COVID test for Rahm that week in May.
What if?
Crazy. Crazy. I think it was in
Yeah.
May, but yeah.
Well,
not to mention, I mean, I don't know how much you guys have on the Tour Championship outside of that. I mean, I think more of the story is Patrick Cantley's playing unbelievable golf right now. John Rahm continues to play really good golf, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out in the Ryder Cup because they're both going to be involved in one way or the other. I think even Cantlay alluded to it in his post round, like interview, whatever you want to call it. He was like, by the 5th, 6th hole on Sundays, like it was really a 2-horse race, and it gave me some really good like kind of energy and juices that made me feel similar to how I felt in Ryder Cups and President's Cup in the past. Like it really just felt like me against him. I know obviously stroke versus match play is different, but it was a 2-person race, and I'm excited to see John Rahm's going to be a problem in the Ryder Cup. That's just a fact. And
well, is he going to be a problem if we put Patrick Cantlay up against him?
Right now, that's the only guy I have any confidence in going up against him. So
I mean,
we'll
regardless,
see.
how epic will that be? I mean, we got to assume, right? Like we're gonna have Cantlay up against him. I think that's the only way we got
Yeah.
a chance to calm John Rahm. Like,
Well, and I should know this, but I feel like I forget the order, but like you set your order and then you just read it off, and wherever it falls, right? Like you don't get to see who the other people are throwing out there and then match up against them.
Is it that way in the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup?
That's where I might be getting confused because I just remember Tiger and Ernie Els at the President's Cup last year sitting there and reading them off. Like, do you have to sit and like I don't know if there's maybe a home course advantage or whatever, but like, does Europe have to set? Here's our 1 through 4, pairings, and then the U.S. gets to go. Okay, we want this pairing there, this pairing there, this pairing there, this pairing there, or do they literally go like, do they have it written out before and then they just announce it at the same time and that wherever they fall, they fall? I don't really know how that
we're
works
gonna need a fact check on that because that is a very interesting.
because that makes a
play.
big difference. I think.
Yeah, I'm doing a little research right now.
Because I
So,
forgot
give me
what
a minute.
I forgot watching it last time when we had the Ryder Cup.
Well, it was in France last time too, so it was on a weird
Yeah,
time. But
I thought they had put together like some of the top guys.
Yeah.
Maybe JT versus Rory. I don't know.
yeah,
It seemed like, anyways, there's going to be a ton of top guys that
yeah,
we're going to see both have some great matchups. But I just don't. If Sam Burns makes it, like I don't want him facing Rory or John Rahm. Like
yeah.
I want John Rahm to face his competition. So
Yeah, no, and that's for sure. I mean, let's get right into it. I think it's a good segue into a little Ryder Cup talk. At least we'll talk from the U.S. perspective. We'll have plenty of content over the next 2 weeks or so leading up to it, diving into the teams once they're finalized and matchups and pairings and all that fun stuff. The golf course, all those good things. Plenty of content to come. So keep an eye on for that. But for the time being, let's talk hypotheticals. Let's talk captain's picks on the U.S. side. It's been obviously a heavily debated topic. It's always a very crucial kind of factor in the Ryder Cup. I mean, I'm butchering the stats here. They're not going to be perfect, but essentially the last 3 Ryder Cups we've had, like our captain's picks are like well below 500 as a record. And like, they're 13 and 20 something, I think is what I saw on Twitter today. So we got to get that squared away if we're going to win a Ryder Cup. I mean, you can't win Ryder Cups if half of your team is well below 500. The math just doesn't work too well in that situation. So, I mean, and not that you expect your 6 through 12 in your rankings guys to carry you, but you expect them to be right around that 500 mark, and then have that way. When your top guys go out there and get the job done, that's usually enough to put you over the edge. That's another conversation too. Top dogs have not gotten the job done in previous years, but for now, let's focus on the captain's picks because that's the the hypothetical land we can live in at the moment. Just for everybody listening, the automatic qualifiers are Morikawa, DJ, DeChambeau, Koepka, JT, and Cantlay. They're in. That's our top 6.
With
Pending
what we don't know what's going to happen with Brooks
Koepka.
because of the wrist.
Yeah,
So that
pending
could
the
be
wrist
going.
injury thing and see what goes on there. Don't love that at all going into this.
Yeah.
That, one of our automatic qualifiers is probably going to be not 100% if he does go and potentially not even go. But based on their rankings right now, the next guys in order starting at 7 is Finau, Schauffele, Spieth, Harris English, Patrick Reed, Berger. Those are your top 12 rounded out, right? That's your next 6 just based on points. And then from 13 to we'll go to 18, we got Webb Simpson, Scotty Scheffler, Kokrak, Sam Burns, Billy Horschel, Kevin Kisner, and Kevin Na at 19 we'll go to because I think Kevin Na made a little bit of noise this week as well. If
Yeah,
you guys are Steve Stricker, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're kind of the ones you're going to play is going to be 7, 8, 9, 10. I think Finau, Schauffele, Spieth, and English, I'd be very surprised if they're not picked in that top next 6 just due to Jordan Spieth's going to be on the team. That's a given. Xander Schauffele's going to be on this team. That's a given. Harris English, they'd be like, I mean, if they don't want to go with him, that's fine. They better do something really, really good and like really explain why. But he has had a phenomenal year, deep bananas, if
Yeah.
he's not picked. And the same with Finau. Finau, as finally got a win, finally got the monkey off his back, and he's always in the mix, like top 20s galore all season. We've talked plenty about Tony Finau and his approach to golf and how he probably gets plenty of sleep at night, finishing in 7th and bringing home 400K. So.
Yeah.
Those 4, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be picked. So it really comes down to 2 picks that are really the crucial ones. And even that, I mean, so you got Patrick Reed, Berger, Webb Simpson, Scheffler, Kokrak, Burns, Horschel, Kisner, and Na. Who do you guys go with your final 2? Or do you pick 3 of those guys and kick out one of the other 4 that I named?
So what I really think is going to happen, I think Brooks is not going to play. So I think Finau slides up to the slot there, which then backfills. And I think Patty Reed makes it. I think Patty Reed's that next one in there. I think he strictly
He's a
makes
health concern too, though.
He is.
There's
He
also
played decently well though at the championship. So I don't know if he's really. I mean, we got 2 weeks, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
2 weeks is
but
a lot
the
better than
reports of
playing
what
now.
he had, I mean, they said he had double pneumonia and was told to like text his family he might not make it. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't like, yeah, he went and played in Atlanta, but he's in such bad condition. He can't fly. His lungs can't handle like the compressed air in an airplane. That's why he drove from wherever he was. I think it like in New York because he was there for Liberty National before he got sick. Like there's just a lot of nobody really knows what the hell is going on with him health wise. I know he'd played this week and it wasn't terrible, but I don't know. I like with the depth that we have, like we just read down to 19 names, right? And all of them probably have a case to be on the team. Do you want to take a guy that's like not going to be 100% and also is an absolute cancer to the team morale and like like he's a pariah. He last time he played in the Ryder Cup, he made Tiger Woods apologize to him for how he played. He called out Furyk. Like we can, and we'll get to this, I'm sure, as we go through our other picks. But like, if he's not 100% and he hasn't really played that well the last few months, I don't know if he's worth the headache that he brings with as many deep, the depth that we have on this team. And also the golf course doesn't fit him either. He doesn't hit it far.
Yeah.
Whistling Strait's a big boy golf course. I know his short game will travel anywhere and you need somebody that makes putts. There's for sure an argument to be made there, but I don't know. I'm fucking sick of Patrick Reed. He's just like, I don't want to deal with him, because it's going to be the Patrick Reed story, like
Absolutely, right?
we're going to hear about him and his wife all week.
Which I think I don't think anything's going to change from what happened in years, right? There's always been this like, well, our captain's picks suck, right? They've done nothing. And I just think the narrative, I don't think it's changing just yet. I mean, I think there's just
That's fair.
I think a lot of people are still going to be upset with what and who are picked. Patrick Reed, though, I mean, he has done one good thing in Ryder Cup history, which was that battle with Rory. Other than that, I mean, last year wasn't anything or last time they played the Ryder Cup, it wasn't anything to read about. I remember in France, it was okay. Obviously, he's not doing okay. I mean, I just think the narrative says he makes it. Not sure if he's the right pick, but I always gravitate towards Scotty Scheffler. I think Scotty Scheffler is nails. I think he does well in the moment. That would be more of I want a guy like that on my team who doesn't really show emotion, kind of like a Cantlay guy type thing. And then who are the other ones again? I no, you said you said
Yeah,
Kisner. What was the other one?
Berger, Simpson,
Berger.
Kokrak, Burns, Kisner, Nah, and Billy Horschel.
So yeah, you kind of have to pick. Yeah, Burger's got to be in it, right? I just feel bad because I think guys that are actually good at match play, guys that play even better under pressure and can make a putt, and I think it's Kevin Na and I think it's Kevin Kisner, the two Kevins. I mean, I wish both of them could be on that team. Unfortunately, I don't think any one of those guys will be on the team. I think those guys should start get more consideration because of the way that they and how well they play in match play, right? If we do the narrative, all that, and the what they've done in the past, I mean, it's not going to be those guys. So that's where the change needs to happen, right? Do you get
Yep.
those guys and it builds more chemistry? You get better matchups amongst your two players going out there. I don't know. Steve Stricker certainly has his hands full, but you got to start taking a peek at those guys because if it ain't working, man, you got to. I mean, I would switch it up. That's me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so out on Kevin Kisner playing at Whistling Straits in September. No, no. He
Yeah.
already counts himself out. Like he said it time and time again. Like why he can only win at like 4 or 5 courses a year on the PGA Tour. I mean, Whistling Straits isn't a common course that they just go to. It's a major course. It's a Ryder Cup venue course. They don't play there often. And he says like he doesn't play certain tournaments. Like he doesn't even like going to Pebble Beach and playing the AT&T program or Pro-Am because it's so long.
Yeah.
Like, what makes him think that he's gonna go to and he knows he's not gonna go to Whistling Straits and compete. I know it's the whole match play atmosphere, but I can't see Whistling Straits setting up for him to
Mhm.
play like France would have been better for him to be on the team. I
Oh,
don't know. Was he on the
100%.
team?
Yeah. No,
But
he
it
wasn't on it.
doesn't
That's the one he should have been on.
yeah,
If
it
we're,
it
in
doesn't fit
hypothetical land.
what the US has been trying to do when hosting the Ryder Cups of let's make it as long of a course as can. Let's put pins in the middle of greens and let's give our players chances to eagle every single par 5 and, just hit long irons into par 4s where the Europeans are going to be having to hit, you know, woods into some par 4s possibly just because the length of the course, just stretch it out. Take away like all imagination of the game of golf and just make it like hit the ball as far as you fucking can and then put the ball into the green and make it 2 putt par or 2 putt
Make
birdie.
it
Like
America, baby. That's what you
that
got to do.
that's what they've
Because
been
when we
trying to
went to
do.
France, they did the opposite. They made it tight, windy, quirky, whatever, and we got our asses kicked
Like
because we don't play
yeah,
golf like that over here, and we can't we
y-
just can't
yeah.
keep up. So we got to bomb it out there and hit it straight and far, and then hit it again.
Like what's that story? Like what was that year when like Bubba, JB Holmes, who's that other guy? I'm thinking of his name.
It was like 2010, I want to
But
say.
I'm trying to think of the course they even played at. It was like Valhalla or something they had that Ryder Cup
Might have
or
been,
I don't
but
know.
it was a bomber's paradise.
But there was some story of like JB Holmes. Well, and it was like this dog like left or something, and there was a branch overhanging on the left side, like 250 out, like the top of a tree. So it was like a 280 carry in the air that the ball needs to get to. And JB Holmes asked if that branch could be cut down. The course sent out a guy to cut down that branch because he thought it could come into play with driver off the tee. It was like just an absolutely absurd request to have, but they ended up going out there and cutting down that one branch of the tree. Like it, and if the US is going with that narrative, like Kisner isn't, and arguably like Spieth really doesn't really fit into that process, but he just can make so many birdies anyways, and
He can make so many
his
putts, and his
his
irons are
irons are
so
so
good.
great anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But and that also leads. I know Webb Simpson has been gaining some length off the tee, but it's kind of like, does he also fit into it? But I
Did he
don't think
even play in the playoffs? Like, did he even like play golf the last 3 weeks? Because I didn't even see him,
I
honestly.
don't think he made it to East Lake, but he played in the first two legs.
yeah.
But I think TJ, you brought up a good point in there, and it's kind of there's a couple points there that I think work together, right? I think the point you made about we always pick chalk, right? We always just go basically based on the rankings, pick the best guys. We don't think about golf course. We don't think about the kind of intangibles that go into a team, right? I mean, we just saw it at the Solheim Cup this week. again, it's very like the women and the men. It's a very similar story on both sides. Like the U.S. is way better on paper, should like mop the floor at them, but you can see there's a different energy, camaraderie, cohesiveness with the European teams. And at the end of the day, these matches they get so close. All you need is a little bit better of a headspace, momentum, a better vibe with your partner, whatever it is, to kind of take a match that you'd lose one down and get a half a point, or take a half a point and win a match. Like it's such small margins with how good all these guys are that like you need those intangibles to kind of put you over the top. Like, and shout out the No Laying Up guys. Tron Carter says it best. Like Europe is always greater than the sum of their parts, where like so they get more out of what they have, where the US seems like they always underachieve. And it's like I think in the only thing you can really point that to is intangibles. And like I mean in France, like you're right, course setup plays a role in that too. But I think we need to like, and again, it's easy to say that in my position, not Steve Stricker's, but you need to like just think about like just put more thought into it, and don't just go like, well, he's the best, he's the next best ranked guy, we got to pick him. He's the next best ranked guy, we got to pick him. Like you need to pick guys like, and I agree. I don't think Kevin Kisner's like the answer for Whistling Straits by any means, but I don't hate that being considered because it shows they're at least thinking about the intangibles. That's why I was like so against a guy like Patrick Reed, because it's like he doesn't, one, the course doesn't fit him either. Like he's much better version of what Kevin Kisner is, I would say, right? Like gritty short game, kind of hits it average. Like, you know, it's a pretty decent iron player, but nothing special, but just puts the shit out of the ball and has hands that are just ridiculous around the greens. Where it's like, that's fine. But like, it's just, we need to start thinking about like Kisner. If you think about it at Whistling Straits, he'd only be useful in like the foursomes, right? The alternate shot, because then somebody else can hit the tee shots, or, you know, like, you know, somebody else can get him out there. He can hit it around the green or whatever, or he can hit the tee shot. And like, yeah, they're going to be back. But if he's put it with a guy that hits it far, like, you know, they're still only hitting a 7 or 6 iron. If they get him on the green, he can make a putt, right? But like, if you go out on 4 balls, he's just going to be he's going to be hitting hybrids into greens where his partner and other people on the team are hitting, or other people he's playing against even are hitting like 6 irons, 7 irons, 8 irons. It's just, he's always going to be behind. But I do also see the point of like, you know, you got to think like that, because if you look at the European side, like Ian Poulter, Sergio Garcia, probably Justin Rose, maybe not this year, but like those guys are going to get picked because of how good they are and like how they're intangibles, no matter where it's played. So there's a fine line. I don't know if Kisner's the answer this year for this, but like I at least appreciate the conversation changing a little bit and being a little bit more focused on guys like that than just like going chalk like we've gone, seems like, for the last 7 years, and we're 2-9 or 2-7 our last 9 Ryder Cups. So I'm all for change.
Put Kisner on the team, and whether it's odd holes or even holes that he's teeing off of, just shove the tee boxes way up for him.
Yeah, or do that.
All the shortest holes be whatever holes he's teeing off in,
exactly.
the foursome matches.
So I think United States, right, we have more pressure than any other country that would be playing in this type of event, right?
Because we always are the favorite by a shit ton.
Yeah,
because
we are always the
we always
favorite.
lose.
We always lose. So when you always lose and you're always the favorite, right, there's even more pressure the next year. So, like, I mean, I don't necessarily think that your top 12 guys are definitely they're not the most mentally strong guys that go out there and perform, right? Like, I'm not saying Kiz is the right fit for this team or the right course, but at the end of the day, is he the right fit mentally? You know, is he the guy that's, you know, they all come back after a shitty first day, right? And Kiz is lighting the group up. The things that we don't see, but as a team, right, takes it off of them. That's what I'm hoping, right? It may not be Kiz, it may be somebody. I just hope that, one, they pick people that are actually going to help as a team and kind of just lift everybody up and get the best players, get the best out of everybody. And then, two, I just want to hear why people are picked from Steve Stricker. Like, give us the reasons why these 6 are picked, and not, well, they're just the top, then the next 6 in line. Like, let's have some accountability as the captain here, just making these picks. Like, I want to see it. And I think we deserve that as fans. We deserve that as United States of America, right? As the media's got to get to the bottom of that and see if, okay, these are the guys. Why?
I totally agree 100%. I think that's where we'll actually see some change if there's going to be some made, right? It's got to start with stuff like that. I do, to get back to the picks though, that's, I think a lot of what we're saying is why I like a guy like Scotty Scheffler. I think the course fits him. We got to get new blood in that team room. I feel like we've had the same team for like, our core has been probably the same 8 guys for the last 3 Ryder Cups. You got to get some new energy in there. That whatever they've been doing has not been working. It worked at 2016 at Hazeltine. Credit where it's due, but like overall, it's just we need to switch up the vibe, switch up the energy, whatever it is. And I think a guy like Scotty Scheffler, he just brings in a perfect game that'll fit, and I think he can play with a lot of different people on that team, which is literally a thing that we have to think about because of all the nonsense behind the scenes right now on the U.S. side, right? Like Brooks doesn't like Bryson. Cantlay doesn't probably like Bryson too much right now. Like there's so much like like DJ and Brooks are not like the best of friends anymore, like they once were. Like there's not a lot of like you know you're limited in your matchups you can even make. Never mind how their games match up, right? Like it's already a lot of shit, like a lot of moving pieces with this team right now. So it's like a guy like Scotty Scheffler plays with everybody, new blood, like rookie, fits the course, yada yada yada. Like I feel like there's a lot of reasons to give a guy like that a chance versus say Patrick Reed, right? Like
Yeah.
picking on Patrick Reed a lot, but he's just like he's one of those guys that's in the top 12 in points that I really don't think should be on the team. But
Yeah.
it's
Let's
ultimately
just
not.
blame it on the ammonia and make sure like he's not there.
Yeah, yeah.
Pneumonia.
That whatever you got to do. I mean, I don't know. Like, just yeah. Like, it's a pretty decent scapegoat for sure. Could be like,
Yeah.
he's not 100%. He's not. We don't want to. He's dealing with some health stuff. Whatever. Perfect. Then it's
In
not.
the event they pick him, he gets. I don't know. He just can't make it through all. Like, is
Well,
there
that's
an
the other thing
alternate?
too. They play 36 a day for the first 2 days, and then an 18-hole singles match.
Yeah.
Not that that's if you play every match, right? But you got to think you're going to play 36 one of the days. Otherwise, are we really going to bring them and then try to hide them? It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a whole that's a whole nother that's even deeper down. I'm sure we'll get into that once the picks are made. I think they get made tomorrow, to be honest, if not
Do that.
Thursday. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of Ryder Cup talk. I don't know how much more you guys want to get into it, but I think for me, we gotta start changing the guard a little bit. And I think guys like Scotty Scheffler, guy like Berger. I know Berger played on Presidents Cups, but I don't think he was on the Ryder Cup last time. I think he was hurt last time the Ryder Cup was around. I may be wrong in that, but I think he's a guy that he gives you a little bit more of that really mentally gritty, kind of makes a lot of putts kind of guy. Like he gives me some vibes like that, not to the extent of a Kisner, right? But I think that's another guy that kind of fits that mold a little bit more than the bomber mold for sure. Where
Heck, give me Kevin Na. The guy played his ass off.
Kevin
Played
Na,
against all those guys.
Kevin Na has
Fucking
shown some form. Yeah, he's
yeah.
making a case the last month or so.
Are you kidding me?
Um,
The fans are going to be at this event, right? I mean, it's Wisconsin. Of course they are.
yeah, Solheim,
Kevin Na, like he's going to be a fan favorite. Get somebody like that that walks around the course that people are going to
a little
follow.
bit of a weirdo, but like
Yeah. I mean,
because like
change
right,
it
like
up.
I mean, that's why we all fucking hate Poulter. Like, granted, it's because he's very good, but like
Mhm.
he's not fun to play against. Like I think a lot of our guys are just kind of like bend over. If they're getting if they're getting beat, they just kind of lay over and like let the Europeans like fucking pet their belly or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Ian Poulter, like he either doesn't talk to you if you're beating him, like he's a dick, or he's beating you and he's letting you know about it every single shot he hits. Like we need a little bit of that energy, and I think Kevin Knox could be a guy that provides that. I'm with you there.
I mean, the
Do
videos
something.
the videos of Nah, you see him walking in putts and all that. It's awesome to watch and stroke play. He starts doing that in a Ryder Cup again in a match play. He's gonna piss some people off on the European team and get under some skin.
I'm all for it.
That might be what you need is just, have the other European guys start trying to stretch a little bit, trying to force some things just to try and get back under Nas
Yeah,
skin. And if he has a hot week rolling the putt or rolling the I don't know, rolling the rock,
rolling the rock,
whatever, yeah,
putting, whatever.
Yep.
lights out. Like it's gonna be a problem.
I agree.
The US usually does slow down the greens here to take it like in the Ryder Cup. They usually slow the greens down just so they can make everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah, be able to putt aggressively a lot, but
yeah,
it's I'm interested to see where they fall, and I'm sure once the picks come out, we'll have another you know we'll have another segment here that we can dive into the picks and where they all land. I mean, it's like I said, I don't envy Steve Stricker's position right now. I think this is one of the harder years to pick, given how deep we are. It's like you pick anybody you pick if they go out there and go 0 for 3 or 1 and 4 or 1 and 3 or just really kind of lay an egg. Like there's so many guys that are right around there that are eligible that you're gonna be like, well, I mean, there's no way he would have played that bad. You're always gonna play that Monday morning quarterback. But so I don't envy his position at all. But I just think that kind of like we've been laying out here, it's time for a new process, maybe a new
Yeah.
thought, a new approach.
Mhm.
And I think
And
you've
tell
got
us
a
what the
deep
approach
enough
is.
roster to, take some chances this year without picking guys that are just totally off the charts. Like there's just it's a deep field. I feel like you should take advantage of it and really put some thought into the golf course, how he's going to set it up, and how they work in the team room. Like kind of start thinking about that stuff a little bit more. And like you said, TJ, I hope he tells us about it too. Like I want to hear about your picks.
Yep.
I don't want you to just tweet all 6 of them out one day and then we just have to then everybody goes crazy talking about it without any input from the people
Yeah.
actually making the decision.
Yeah, let's have a press conference. Let's ask them, and let's get to the bottom of it. This is a crucial year, right? We need to be better. And like as a fan of the United States, it's time that we get back to where we are and get on top, and at least let's just win it at home every year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Let's
do that.
start with that. Let's get some dubs on our own soil.
Absolutely.
I'm all for that. So, all right, boys. I don't know if you got any more Ryder Cup talk, or we'll just kind of save it for the coming weeks. I'm sure we're gonna have plenty to talk about as teams get finalized and we get closer and we check on weather and the course and do some deep dives of that nature. But outside of that, I mean, hell of a PGA Tour season this year. There's COVID impacts. There's some guys that took really big strides forward, like a John Rahm getting his first major, or Morikawa getting another one. There's a lot to be excited about when it comes to watching the PGA Tour. And I personally am like Ryder Cups is like what got me so nuts about golf. Like I've always loved golf, but I never followed it as closely as I did until I started watching Ryder Cups and seeing that energy and like that's the stuff that gets me going, that makes me want to go out there and play and get in tournaments and whatever. So I'm really looking forward to the Ryder Cup in a couple of weeks. I'm all jacked up off the Solheim Cup this past weekend, but yeah, I don't know. You guys got anything else, or we good to go?
I think we're good to go. We got a lot of
Yeah,
stuff to talk about, so stay tuned.
absolutely. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers.